Divide with the power of Charles Jurassic. Nation T-Rex with covert tactics. Rise from the ashes, bring back the atlas. Bring the madness. With eyes that can see it all. Cameras to capture your
That's hot.
Get it while it's hot. Cause in another week it will be not.
Turn off the lights and let me feel you. I don't wanna think about myself right now. Stay out all night because I want to. Wake up in the morning and I'm hollowed out. I drew the outline on the paper, now I'm running out of space. Family at the dinner table, but I don't have a place. Where will we go? Why am I afraid to be alone? Sinking in petals, looking for the bottom. Where will we go? looking for the bottom. Where will we go? Where will we go?
I can feel this tide choke my neck and I just wonder why I'm buried in a suit I'd never buy, a suit I'd never buy. Cufflinks on my wrist, I can't act surprised when the shovels hit dirt in the earth. Did they start to cry?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. I am joined here by Lisa Jolly Malhas and Daniel Glovely Quack, and we have a bit of a different day for you. Would you guys explain that?
Yeah, I mean, still a lot of excitement, that's for sure.
Definitely.
But already a couple wins under our belt. It looks like it was the CSL, Collegiate Star League,
Right.
for League of Legends. Already been forfeited, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to play League of Legends. We got another set of games coming up later on, but in the meantime, I believe we're just going to do some fun show match kind of style things. Pit these two teams against each other. They're all here. Might as well do something with them.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise when both teams decided to forfeit against Boise State University. So I'm really glad that we are still able to have a game. So what we're going to see is the two teams match up against each other, but we've thrown a bit of a wrench into the works. So it'll be interesting to see how the teams work around that. I think you'll be able to figure out what that wrench is very quickly once we get into picks and bans.
Yeah, hopefully I will too, because apparently Glovely knows more than I do right now, at least in terms of what kind of fun style a show match we're doing. Oh, it's that style. We got Rob going up to take a quick look over at Dean's screen. I'm not sure if we're already setting up this match at the moment, or we're going to be sitting up here. Okay, we are in the process of. So that's what's great about asking questions over this loudspeaker here. Instantly answered generally. So currently doing the setup there. It looks like it's some pretty intense picks and bans or setup, as I don't think I've seen Can't Get Dopamine have to jump up and hop down over to that bottom lane anytime as of late.
I did say that there were some wrenches thrown into the works. So
is that a Heimer? Is that a Heimer reference? Is that a? That's usually the only one that I can think of.
I mean,
with a wrench.
I won't rule out Heimer from being a possibility. That's how strange I think this is going to be. But we do have what is going to be the Rooks and the Vets is what we're going to be calling our two squads for this game. Some of the rookie players who are newer to the scene and our veteran players who have stuck around for a long time. Both of them are fantastic teams, and they've proven themselves time and time again. So these are our keys to the game.
Versus Boise State? Looks like we've got some here. Crush your teammates always. Something to give you an advantage there. Jungle and mid coordination, something that the team has been working on a lot recently. Someone gets Annie, and I'm sure you will be delighted by the last one, which is someone gets Garen.
Oh, absolutely. One
That
team
is-
must draft one of those two champions. So both of those champions will be in the game regardless of anything else that happens in Champion Select. So that means that the players are going to have to build their compositions around knowing that these champions are going to be on their team.
So Doc's Keys to the Game are brought to you by Boise State University. At Boise State, you can choose from more than 200 areas of studies, and you will have the chance to combine minors, certificates, internships, hands-on research, work opportunities, and more to make your educational experience unique. Visit boisestate.edu for more info.
Yeah, always fun to see Doc's Keys to the Game. Generally very helpful. With this one, it's more of a stipulations, I suppose, that these players have to follow. And not that we don't really see Garen or Annie. If I'm not mistaken, Annie is Doc's favorite. And maybe a little bit of that sway for the Garen had to do with you there, Glovely, as we all know.
I'm always asking for
as
it.
we all know that Garen is your favorite. So a couple of of production's favorite champions up here. We have seen Garen. At least a little bit of him, as he has been around the meta for a while now. Always a solid champion with a really well-rounded kit. The Annie, we haven't seen quite as much recently. So I'm curious to see who's going to pick that Annie up.
I mean, when you consider Annie, she's a very simplistic champion, but does bring a lot of interesting tools. She has a very reliable engage. Once you have the full stacks on her Pyromania, you drop the Tibbers, you have an extra body on the field. So there are a lot of advantages in picking either of these two champions. But there are also a lot of disadvantages, which is the reason they haven't been meta, and it's those things that the teams are going to have to take into account.
Absolutely. And I'm not exactly sure how we're gonna break that down, but I think we are going to take a quick look at the schedule here. Hopefully none of this will be changing tonight. This afternoon, actually, we do still have a set of League of Legends games. This is College Lull, and this is the Mountain West Conference schedule here. So today, Colorado State is being played by our varsity team here, and then we're going to continue that on February 1st versus Wyoming. You can see there New Mexico, Utah State, and Air Force are in the works for the next 30 days here.
And the top two teams are going to advance to Las Vegas in March 5th through 7th for the Grand Championship there. So hopefully Boise State will have a high enough winning record to be invited to that final matchup.
It would be the third time in a row. The first one was just Boise State and UNLV. This last time we had a few more teams thrown in the mix. It was 4 teams that went to the finals here. So a little bit less just in terms of this group of players, but that's because there's been an expanse on the Mountain West Conference itself in terms of that collegiate realm for esports, which is great to see.
So in terms of this season so far, how do you think we are going to do in terms of Las Vegas and the odds?
Well, I mean, it's obviously going to be different than the games that we just won already today, the two wins that we took home. There's definitely a lot of coordination that needs to work through the players just based on the first couple of games that we saw. However, they know exactly what needs to be addressed. They know what they need to work on. They're finding that synergy that is really difficult to find early on in the season with the very first patch coming about. We haven't seen Set, Syndra. I think Lux is finally back, so there are still some things that might change as the meta changes here in the future. But as of right now, I'm pretty confident in our team.
And we're getting into picks and bans, so here we go. It looks like the veterans are on the right there, and the rookies are on your left. So first ban goes over to the rookies. They're going to look at what kind of champions they don't want to deal with. It's going to be Yasuo, the first ban. We've seen Red Hots absolutely destroy on that champion, so it's a good thing to get him out of the way.
No big surprise that is an early ban. Yasuo and Akali, 2 of Red Hot's favorite champions. He did get shut down last week going up against an Akali. That Yasuo was banned into him, but it was a pretty heavily babysat lane there in the mid, and clearly that opposing team was terrified of Red Hots in the mid as we had many bans against him. Amumu is going to be the first one there from the vets. Great engage, heavy CC, and a lot of consistency coming from Amumu.
Ornn going to be the next ban. We've seen a lot of players from Boise State favor that champion. Great top laner, great pressure, gives your teams additional stat points once he hits level 13. So very powerful champion being taken off. So the vets now have the ban on their table. Amumu is their only ban so far. What are they going to combine with that? It's going to be the Nasus. So Nasus is a great top lane champion. in terms of just playing in your solo queue games, especially in those lower elos when you want to pick up a lot of farm and then you just scale really hard for the late game, become an unstoppable object. Aphelios going to be the last ban for the Rooks. AD carry, very new in the meta. Not a lot of people have figured out his kit, and it's very hard to cast, so I'm glad that they took it off the table.
Yeah, it is a really difficult one to go up against. If somebody knows how to play Aphelios well and understands with his kit when to push, when to hold back, and when to go for objectives, you can get a lot accomplished with him. The final ban from the BSU Vets here is going to be the Nautilus, so they're not looking to get heavily engaged on early on. Again, the consistency is what we're seeing from the bans on these vet sides. And Garen, the first lock in case you didn't hear Lovely shout in excitement. And Woojin going to immediately lock in that Annie, as that was kind of to be assumed. The other one would be selected there. And we might be seeing a Twitch, and really that Annie they can take that Annie anywhere that they decide to. They're not going to go with the Twitch potentially. Ooh, we just got a lot of good hovers here in the jungle. Can't get dopamine, I think, picking for himself here. So I believe that is a Twitch jungle.
So Twitch is something that we discussed last night that would really fit his style because he is coming from an AD carry position into that jungle. But the question is, can you make the Twitch work? We've seen that it sometimes struggles to be able to clear because you take so much damage as an AD carry. Twitch doesn't have a lot of sustain tools for that jungle, but he does bring in some absolutely devastating ganks. And if he manages to get those off onto the Rooks, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Olaf picked up for the Rooks.
A good response there, and as we know, this veteran team does not like a good Olaf on the opposing side. Last week, we got to see that firsthand as it was picked up one game, not a second game actually, because it was banned out the 2 times after that. And of course, they did have a follow-up through there, but it looks like the next lock-in is going to be a Nami there for the rookies. Incredibly powerful right now. A lot of the AP caster style supports are in to oppose a lot of the tanky styles that are also in those heavy engaged. The Leona, the Nautilus that are very in the meta right now. And okay, I would have been really surprised actually to see that Yuumi lock-in. It's still being hovered over. And I think they're just messing with us here, and it looks like that Sona is here. There it is. It's a 0 seconds. It's gotta be locked in there. So Sona is going to be the selection. I would assume then that this Annie's gonna be going mid, and you've got the Sona bot, but it could be a Sona top lane.
Yeah.
We could be seeing a Sona top lane, as we've seen Woojin carry many an AP caster. We saw him run the Janna in the top a lot, and already going now into the next bans. It looks like everybody's figured everything out pretty quickly there. Aurelia and Evelyn, BSU Rooks taking down the Teemo. They have one more ban before the final 4 champions are selected, and Ivern is going to be their choice. I'm not sure if they're aware, as we are, that Twitch is most likely going jungle.
Well, it's entirely possible the Ivern could be played support or as an AD carry. We did see Boise State on Dean, yes, using that Ivern to a scary degree, building full AD. The rookies are on camera right now, up on that stage, or down on the ground floor here.
Don't lie to me, that's not the rookies on the right.
Rookies are on the left, vets are on the right. You can see them. Their cameras are switched from what their teams actually are. It's going to be Pike locked in. And
I think that's what they should have been a little more afraid of. The Ivern has not been played there in the bottom by Dean for quite a while now. And I think it's because there have been a lot of the marksman, the assassin style supports that have come out that are so up his alley. So that Pike being selected means that Sona will most likely be going top. And so far there isn't really any tank at all. Annie gets a little bit tankier later on. Pike with the assassin style doesn't really offer that much of a front line. So this veterans team has so much aggression. It's going to require at least a little bit of tank for them to be able to engage on the aggression that we also are seeing on the Rook side now, with a Victor and a Lissandra being locked in.
That Victor is such an important matchup when you're being forced to play Garen, because if you manage to get the 2 champions, you have a guaranteed victory.
I'm out. I'm leaving.
Well, it's so fun.
It is.
Seriously, genuinely though, Victor and Lysandra, you bring so much area of effect crowd control, and with the Nami, I think that's what the goal here is for the Rooks. They have so much area of effect crowd control, and that sets up Garen to just spin through all of them. They've also forgone having a proper AD carry, so unless that Garen is going into the bottom lane.
Oh no, Victor's got to be going to the bottom.
It's almost certainly going to be Victor Nami, and Nami has the ability. They changed how her E works, so now you get those additional spell procs onto spell attacks as well as auto attacks, so it gives you a much wider variety of champions.
The more confusing swap for me there was the Olaf Garen swap. Last moment that Olaf, there's no way. There's no way. The Olaf jumped.
What, Garen jungle?
Compared to Olaf jungle, I would go with the Olaf in the jungle there and the Garen in the top lane to sustain himself, but I mean, you know more about the Garen than I do, that's for sure.
So it's entirely possible. The goal here is to give Garen somewhere where he can, where he doesn't have to worry about being poked out constantly by one of the members of the other team. Garen does have options for engaging. The problem is he has to engage into a CC lane, but they have drafted a lot of crowd control for their team for Garen to be able to engage upon. We're going to go over to some top plays from last night. So these are our top 5 plays from last night, and they were fantastic to cast here at our number 5 pick of the night. I believe this was this mid lane gank. Look at this. The Boise State opted to take the Event Horizon early on, and that allowed them to get this level 1 gank off. Can't get Dopamine's Olaf off to a first blood very early, and that was such a powerful play that influenced the rest of the game.
And Olaf being selected and working well for Boise State. Now we can see the Ornhorn coming out. Poppy is going to follow this one up, and not a lot that can be done there.
But here
the ultimate coming through.
Part.
That lockdown is going to work, and Dean is going to pick that up. That was a fantastic play, a great lockdown, and a great CC movement there.
Number 3, Boise State picks this team fight here in the mid lane. Lots of crowd control comes out, but the absolute zero locks them down, and as a result, Gimmick is able to throw a Featherstorm over all of them. 3 eliminations. They pick up the Cassiopeia off the end of this. So great team fight there from Boise State.
Try to follow it up there. I was going to say Gimmick had quite a few feathers down and flashed in for that one, so likely really going to try to leave with something. And now we can see just the raw damage come through from Red Hots. And in the meantime, you got a half-health tower. One member now trying to save this, the jungle of Juanita College under Tower Cataclysm coming out. Gimmick did not take the tower shots there, though. It was fantastic aggression rotation, and Boise State managed to pick up the tower from that.
Great tower dive from Boise State. And the number 1 play of the night, Juniata here, had a great team fight composition, but unfortunately, they weren't able to maximize their bullet time. Here on in the fight, bullet time is already used. Boise State able to push their advantage. Triple kill, overall, double kill. It's an ace, and that won Boise State the game.
Hopefully we see something like that for Boise State today, as we have Boise State playing Boise State. So no matter what, we're going to see some good Boise State plays and probably some not so great Boise State plays.
I do think that whoever wins this game is probably going to be Boise State.
I have to agree with that. I know it's a little biased, but I think that Boise State is going to come out ahead on this one.
Yeah, I think they have a good chance.
Pretty solid chance. We've already gotten 2 W's today. Actually, and that would be both of these crews, as it was a simultaneous game that would have been going. We likely would have cast the rookie crew, because we do have, as I mentioned, that Colorado game coming up later today, and that is definitely going to be the veteran crew here. So at least everybody gets to be up on stage. We're not letting that rookie crew fall short of anything, but a couple free W's. And we are going to take a quick look at the matchup that we are looking at for later today against Colorado, as mentioned. That's going to be 4 p.m. Mountain Time here. Anybody that wants to come on down to the arena, you are more than welcome to join us at the Venture College, 301 South Capitol Boulevard.
And certainly we'd love to have you down here, and I think the teams would love to have you guys down here as well, even now as they're playing against each other live here in the arena. And I'm really excited for this game.
I'm excited. I think we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to come back with Boise State. So
Versus Boise State.
versus Boise State, yeah. No, I don't have to say 2 teams because Boise State just kind of works.
I always forget the other one anyway.
Yeah, right. How do you pronounce it? Is it
Boise?
It's Boise, isn't it?
Boise, not Boise.
It's Boise. It's got a very
It's
French
Boise.
pronunciation.
Yeah, no, that's where we cut Lovely off.
It's Boise.
We'll be right back. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
This is
Maybe not.
suspense.
Hey, no, we're going to hop
Game
right
was
into it.
game.
No breaks for you, no breaks for us. We're going to dive right in. And just as we do in AR Earth, everybody's going top lane.
And it looks like it's going to be Garen versus Annie in that top lane. I generally favor the Annie in that matchup because of her ability to harass and poke the Garen to prevent him from getting back his passive, being able to heal up in lane. But there are options to be able to answer that. And one of them has already been taken. Very smart move to take the Doran's shield. It gives you so much more health and sustain. If he is going to get poked, he's going to get some free healing up from that. So really at this point, if you're the Garen player, you need to be able to take your time to be able to get your magic resist. He's taken teleport. That's going to let him get back to lane very quickly. On the other side, though, Annie has gone for Grasp of the Undying, so she's actually going to get sustained through that. So it's going to be harder for Garen to be able to harass her out because she's going to have that sustain, and she's going to be able to maintain it just by free farming and poking him.
We do have Kink at Dopamine running the Conqueror there. You can also see that the Boise State vets have chosen to take 3 teleports as a Sona gimmick running that one, that old Sona ADC we haven't seen for quite a while. We're going to see if that works out for them. The Victor and the Nami, though, can be incredibly brutal. There's a lot of burst damage that is offered by that composition, especially if some good bubbles can be landed by Zac there.
Ooh, good engage into the mid lane. Night Carry is going to back away, taking a lot of damage, but does manage to escape with his life.
And that's the issue with that Twitch, is he can go in really whenever he wants. Generally level 2 is that decision making, as he can claim that Q ability and get really good gank potential with the invisibility onto that one. And then also offer to push the lane very heavily as well. Whether or not he wants to take any of the tax from that lane is his decision. So a lot of good pressure there, and now Diana is pushed up against that mid lane. However, the rookies are doing quite well in terms of poke and aggression in the bottom lane and are already making their way back to set down some vision.
Trade up in the top lane. Stun manages to keep Judgment from reaching Annie, and that's a great way to be able to deny that trade. So many people in my solo queue games have said, Garen is unfair. Well, just don't get hit. Don't let me get close to you, and I won't be able to do anything to you. But if you're going to stun me like that, there's no way a Garen can engage into range.
And that is a great selection there for the Annie. My personal favorite selection into the Garen for that would be the Syndra, who is not allowed right now. Some really good poke coming out there from the Rooks onto the Vets. It looks like they're going to have to continue to tower hug here, but Can't Get Dopamine is making his way to gank Night Carry, who flashes over with a beautiful jump, maximum range to get himself into the Raptor pit there and completely survive that one, staying at half health.
Actually, no, that wasn't
Was that his
flash
E?
that
That was his
flashes
E.
up. It was, in fact, the Winter's Claw.
That was
so
I was going to say that was a...
tossed it backwards into the Raptors, and that gives you some great safety. Garen continues to farm underneath the tower. Very difficult lane early on for that Garen, but he's going to be so much more terrifying later on when he has access to the ability to execute opposing champions.
And likely the reason as well that Night Carry decided to go with that Lissandra, as the Lissandra and the Victor were the last 2 selections there for the rookie side. The survivability, especially when you've got Can't Get Dopamine running on that Twitch, as we've seen already ganked twice, but no deaths going down to Night Carry, who has done a fantastic job of responding to those ganks on the Twitch.
The biggest problem with ganking the mid lane is that Diana doesn't have any crowd control of her own until she hits level 6, which means you can't keep your opponent in the lane for Twitch to continue rat-a-tat-tatting his way through. Ideally, you'd want to go to a lane that does have crowd control, so you'd go to your bot lane or you'd go to your top lane, but it is important to try and get that Diana ahead.
Definitely helpful, and I think that is the real reason that we've seen the Twitch in that mid lane so much. He has given up a lot of jungle presence, specifically to get pressure, to get CS fed into that Diana, and with the continuing pressure, I think they are expecting a responding gank, in which case Can't Get Dopamine would likely feel a little on the upper side in terms of the burn damage that he can offer to that Olaf right now, pre-level 6.
I see that folks in the chat are already enjoying the game, and I can tell you that Lissandra's done justice now, but here comes the engage.
Setup is going to be thrown back. He has to flash out, but the Ignite is down. The heal coming out. Gimmick taking a lot of damage, and Ignite on himself right there. Zach is going to pick up the elimination, a little bit of a 1-for-1 here, and now we can see a battle in the top lane. Woojin keeping himself alive and doing quite a bit of damage to the Garen. It looks like both of those supports are going to survive in the bottom. Nami having to break away with the flash there at the end. So 4 summoner spells down on the side of the rookies, and only 1 Ignite, now a teleport coming out as Gimmick brings himself back down to the bottom.
If any of those champions were level 6, we would have had so many more deaths on the field, either from the Garen execution, Tibbers being dropped, Pike death from below, a tidal wave from Nami. So many low health bars. Now Twitch comes into the mid lane. Winter's Claw is going to get Night Carry out safely. And that's one of the great things about Lissandra, is that you can farm really safe, even when you're the focus of so much attention as the Rooks go in for the Dragon.
And now the Vets are going to follow it up, though. Gimmick taking down that Olaf, and they're going to finish off this Dragon. A Mountain Drake at that is going to allow them to push onto these towers. They still have quite a bit of time before those plates go down. Twitch picking that one up. This Twitch jungle working very, very well. We'll see how it adapts, though, into the later game, as a lot of these kills are being fed over to the rest of the team, but still not very heavy of a sway, about a 0.5 K difference in terms of gold there for the veterans, thanks to that jungle.
Now, looking at the CS difference across the lanes, we could see that top and jungle are going in favor of the Rooks, while mid and bot lane are, mid lane is going in favor of the Vets. So there is a CS advantage for the Rooks overall, for the most part, aside from that mid lane. So great job on their part for being able to keep that up. But that Dragon is going to cost them a little bit. And now we have an engage onto the bot lane from that mid.
Teleport coming in. Red Hot is going to flash in. And down goes Zach. Oh, down goes Zach to start. In the meantime, the rest of the team is hitting this backline. The Sona ultimate is going to come up. Night Carry and Medicine trying to chase down Gimmick here. Twitch is in that tri-bush, so they've got to be careful. His flash is down, as is Red Hot's right now. And in goes Night Carry with the flash. The stun hits. Setup gonna pick up one elimination there, and it is a 3v3. Night Carry is very, very low, though. He's not gonna be able to make it out of this one alive, and Can't Get Dopamine is granted that elimination thanks to the poison.
They're
Still
not quite out of the woods yet, so
not
there
quite.
Looks like they are going to escape. So top pressure being applied by Woojin, using the Tibbers to actually get extra auto attacks off. Garen going to pick up some farm here down in the bot lane, try and maintain a little more pressure. Looks like he's going to back off now that the laners are back in position.
And that Mountain Dragon is the only reason that these guys cannot push this bottom lane, because you are looking at an Annie still pushing, having taken already 3 plates, if I'm not mistaken, up there, or will be. Yeah, about 3 plates there. Now Woojin is going to be jumped in on Unstoppable. That is an ultimate coming out from the Olaf. The flash out from Woojin, and the flash in from Tiger Lamb, who manages to pick up that elimination. A bit burned, but it did make up for a bit lost there.
It's hard to get away from an Olaf, especially if just one ability lands, but now we have an engage from Dean. Stuns up 2. Plasma Storm is dropping down. Diana is coming in from the mid lane, so great play by Red Hot setting that up. Dean manages to get the elimination, and it looks like Setup is going to answer in turn.
Oh!
Is he going to get enough damage? No! Can't quite reach Gimmick. Gets away with a sliver of health.
So close. Setup almost had 2 of them there. Thanks to the positioning, though, of Gimmick, he did manage to survive with his life and with the remainder of his team there. Dean had such a tricky dash in. He flashed over before that stun actually locked down 2 members there of the rookies, and that really helped them get a solid push in that bottom lane. They're not going to push it back because they were very, very low. And we are going to see a little bit of a response here as the Vets make a big move towards the top half of the map.
So we're about 9.5 minutes into the game, and now Night Carry is being caught out by 2 in the jungle. It looks like he's going to be able to, no, he gets caught by the pole, is forced to use the Frozen Tomb. Is not going to be able to get away as Red Hot's, no, the Winter's Claw comes out, taking a lot of damage, but there's the dive. Dean sends him off to the drowned ones.
And a max range one at that. He still has about the 10 seconds. Red Hots is going to be jumped on here. Does he know that the rest of the red team is there, though? Tygo Lamb is going to take down Red Hots, and Dean did try to go in and help out his teammate, but he was not going to offer enough there to give some survivability. And now Tygo Lamb is going to be able to take some vision presence here near this Rift Herald. Dean and Can't Get Dopamine, though, want to start this engage. So much damage coming down on Can't Get Dopamine. Tygo Lamb now on a killing spree. And in the meantime, we got a little bit of a scuffle here up in the top lane. Medicine versus Woojin. Tibbers is on the backside of him. A lot of damage coming out and a solid stun. A little bit of a stutter step there sends Medicine to his demise.
Unfortunately, Garen just didn't have enough damage at that point in the game. And when you're surrounded on all sides by people who are dealing magic damage to you, blocking your passive, against a ranged opponent, it's just really difficult to handle. But now there's an engage in the bot lane as the stun comes out. Tidal Wave being used to disengage, force the fight back. Meanwhile, Woojin getting jumped on again by Tygo Lamb, but he takes a lot of damage and takes out by the turret. There was also an elimination on the bot side. Setup did manage to find Gimmick. And now there's just so much aggression coming from both of these teams. Fights happening across the map.
I think the plays coming from these rookies are to the equivalent of plays coming from the veterans right now. The only difference I see is a little bit of confidence and these stutter steps where, you know, the player's like, should I commit, should I not? And then a half second of decision making ends up losing them their life. But still, they have gotten so much accomplished with those committed plays that they have made. I am incredibly impressed with how well already these rooks are playing together, as we haven't really seen much of them so far this season in terms of the stream.
Looking at their lineups, there's actually 2 bounties now, one onto Annie and one onto Pike. So both of those champions very powerful. And now Dean's already coming to the mid lane. Can Night Carry get away? It doesn't look like it. Does drop the Frozen Tomb to protect himself. Gonna get caught in the stun on the way out. There's no way out. Dean picks up the elimination.
A little bit of BM there as we see some emotes coming out, but it's a cute Poro, so it's not BM, right? So now, Dean and Red Hots, they're going to make their way down. It looks like Tygo Lamb has spotted out Dean. He tries to go underwater, and he manages to escape here. Now he's walking back towards the blue side jungle, going to try to get the channel. He didn't even get to finish that Q before going down, and Woojin is trying to chase down Medicine once again here in the top lane. In the meantime, though, Olaf has found himself a couple of members here in the mid. A lot of damage coming through from Can't Get Dopamine, the ult being burned from both of those members. And Can't Get Dopamine is going to pick it up for himself. That is going to set a little bit of an advantage now towards Can't Get Dopamine, as he has had only the 1 death, but Olaf has been a force to be reckoned with this game.
Absolutely powerful champion with the ability to lock things down. Red Hot's actually caught out in the Raptor camp. Maybe not going to be able to get away, is taking a lot of damage from those Raptors as now the bot lane tries to move up to meet Red Hot's.
It's a scary place to be. Can't Get Dopamine there hiding, waiting. Night Carry, though, is going to spot out Red Hots, and in that 1 second that Night Carry decided to move in, Can't Get Dopamine decided to back out and could not engage quick enough for a response there. It looks like they're going to head towards this dragon. A great stun down. The ultimate from the Nami coming out, and that claw is going to engage, but not be followed up, as the rookies realize that they've got a bit of an advantage now here towards this dragon pit, going to set up for that.
I'm not sure I agree with the use of that tidal wave, maybe just trying to use it to zone it off, but now you don't have it here for this potential fight around the dragon, although it does look like the Rooks have a very comfortable position around it. They've set up some gravity well around that teleport now, as it's going to be a 5-on-5, and Night Carry engages.
A great one at that. Red Hot's trying to come in on the back line. He's going to pull 3 of them together. Woojin trying to follow that up with his CC as the Inferno blazes, and now Tygo Lamb is on the run, finds himself another in the meantime. It's a 3v2 in that mid. Dean gonna miss that hook setup, and Olaf working on pinching the remaining 2 members here, and that is going to be a hit axe. That means that the rookies can continue on this fight. Dean having to send himself away from this one. They do know, though, that setup is on this backside. He's going to pick up a double kill, and he's going to continue on to Dean here, who is forced to dash away.
I was a little worried when it was a 2v1 behind the tower and there was nothing the Vets could do, or nothing the Rooks could do to be able to engage to help setup, but they did such a great job of zoning them off the tower. They knew that setup was far enough ahead that he was going to be able to get that elimination. Now we have the replay there. Deathray manages to take him out, actually manages to dodge that stun, and that's a big deal because not only does Dean not have the option to get enough damage to follow him up, but it is that he's able to move very quickly down, help out his team, pick up the first tower for their team.
The first tower of the game as well, and that's going to give the Rooks a pretty decent lead. They're looking at almost 1,000 gold here, which happened pretty quickly considering they were behind in both objectives as well as eliminations. Now they're sitting at 13 versus 11. They have that first tower, and they have a Cloud Drake, so they're going to be able to get a lot more roam pressure that they've been looking for through this game and that they've been seeing a lot coming out from the Vets.
The next dragon is the Infernal Drake, and that is our third rift-defining dragon. So as you can see, brushes have been burned away, structures have been dropped to the ground, giving you a lot more free room to roam. That's going to benefit champions who want to run you down and make things very difficult for champions who want to use those walls to keep you at bay.
That's a lot of damage coming from Gimmick. Zach is going to take all of it, but he knows that he's a Nami, and that is his job. They're going to poke out as much as they can here. Set up in a bit of a dangerous position. He's going to get locked down there. The Nami ultimate tidal wave coming out here, and can't get Dopamine gets burned to nothing from Night Carry there. Zach coming in clutch on keeping both Night Carry and Setup alive and in control on these fights. Night Carry is going to get hooked, but no tower aggro to any members here of the Rookies, meaning they're going to have enough pressure to take down tower number 2, the first mid one.
Credit to the Rooks for the way that they're layering their crowd control. It's very impressive. Making sure that they can lock down the member long enough for their damage-dealing members to be able to get their full combination out. Dean is now hunting for a hook. He goes fishing, finds a bit more than he bargained for with 4 members who are now set up around the Rift Herald.
They're going to engage on this one. Looks like Medicine is in a good position to follow up the rest of his team. They know that that's where the majority of the veteran players were coming from, that mid lane, and now they're not even trying to hide it as the Rooks pick up Shelly. They should be able to here. An ultimate, though, going to come down from Dean in the bottom. And while that fight goes on, Shelly does get picked up, if I'm not mistaken there. Yes, it does look like Tiger Lamb has gotten that objective for his team. The Vets did make a very good response in recognizing that they likely weren't going to be able to counter and take that Rift Herald. They've got a lot of pressure now in the mid lane, and as we can see in the top as well, Annie has that lane very, very pushed. So not quite a success in terms of the objective, but overall a great response there by the Vets, kind of losing that overall.
But the Vets did pick up their first tower of the game, and it went over to Annie, who is currently sitting on a Rod of Ages and what looks to be a Glacial Shroud, I believe is the name of that item, and going to build that actually.
It's already done.
Already into a Righteous Glory. So Annie being used as an engagement tool and almost as a sort of pseudo-tank build as a result. So it has the ability to very quickly engage onto targets, get her into position so that she can drop the Tibbers on huge, important targets for the enemy team.
Absolutely. And we'll see exactly where they decide to go. The movement speed being a big portion of that. And also taking a look at vision as well. We can see many, many vision wards sitting at the Rookie's inventory there. A couple of them being set down. So priority for them. Zach is going to get ulted here by this Annie, and Woojin is being collapsed on by 3 members here. That Victor ultimate burning her down slowly. Tiger Lamb is going to find the hatchet that he needed and pick up the elimination that he wanted.
And that'll give Rooks now the priority over this dragon that's going to be spawning very soon. They have the pressure on the map. Dean forced to back away as a result. The problem with building the tankier version of Annie is that you don't have that crazy burst damage that you get when you build a full AP build. So the Rod of Ages and Righteous Glory really slowing down your damage, and now the Rooks look like they're going to collapse here on this mid lane.
And they don't decide to go for heavy engage, a very smart move, as they only knew where a few members of that veteran team were. They did not have eyes on the Twitch nor the Sona, and now this Olaf does. He's going to engage very hard, and he's got so much burn and so much burst. One more hit is going to do it. The flash over is followed by another flash, and speaking of flashes, Night Carry is going to use his to engage here. Medicine picking up the elimination on Gimmick, and the rookies are really cleaning up a solid play in response to that. Dean wants to do something for his team here. He's going to try to make an engage on Night Carry as Woojin follows it up here, but Night Carry once again with those beautiful claws manages to sneak around, and their team ends up taking the Infernal.
The amount of safety that Night Carry is creating for himself using the Winter's Claw is just absolutely incredible. We've seen multiple ganks foiled just because throw it over a wall, walk in one direction to draw the pressure towards you, and then pop, you're gone.
His timing is beautiful though, and the direction he sends it, he doesn't move necessarily opposite that direction. He moves kind of adjacent, or I guess he's moving at like a 90-degree angle, if you will, adjusting his pattern, and that way when he does get pulled back, the enemy team kind of has to reconsider, okay, where exactly did he send that claw initially? And it is at the very last moment that he can recall to it every time as well, so keeping a very good eye on that. Right here, spoke too soon, Doc. They did get the Rift Herald though. They did pick up the Shelly. It was not necessarily the best play. The channel is going to go through, so that teleport ends up working out. The rookies though, still doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, despite everything, all things are even, but a hook brings in on... Oh, Dean manages to pick up the elimination. Demacia, baby! Medicine picks up an elimination there. Night Carry gonna can't get dopamine, and once again the Rooks have found themselves in an advantageous position as now they've summoned the Rift Herald on that bottom side. They have pressure in 2 of their 3 lanes now and are being able to exert it. But Red Hot comes in, Garen finds him out though. We're getting a bit of an instant replay as the fight happens in that mid lane, and it looks like the veterans are going to be pushing things out. So we see that the title, okay, here we go. Here we go.
I like the thought behind that one. And thank you for at least, we were able to see still kind of what was going on in that bottom right-hand corner there. So even though the Rooks lost a member in that fight, they're going to continue pushing. Setup now has to escape as quickly as possible. No way, the flash from Dean. A blast cone is going to be hit. That ignite was set down onto Setup, who manages to survive with almost no health. Can he escape far enough, though, to get a recall through? It does look like he's going to be okay. There is a bit of deep vision coming from the Rook side, so they know where he is at the moment. Thankful for the rest of the team, though, as they've got a lot of movement to respond to that pike.
Dean is now running on a wild goose chase, trying to escape from 3 members. Thygao Lem, the only one really pursuing, uses the blast cone, throws out the overtow, not quite able to close in. It looks like Dean is going to get away, able to survive, and now Woojin is with him, so they know that they can't just simply engage on top of him.
Like someone was like, wow, they hate Dean. I wonder why he's Dean on Pike, all right? I would hate him too. This is one of the scariest matchups, especially having Gimmick on a high AP, heavy damage dealer there. The lack of frontline tank that I was talking about before this is now kind of starting to come into effect here for the Vets. The fact that they don't have the super heavy engage that these Rooks can decide to engage on fights. They have to be a lot more particular on what they are going in on. And speaking about going in on things, can't get dopamine, goes in on a scary situation. His lifesteal is going to enable him to survive that one, but he did take a lot of damage, and a shutdown going over to Annie while the chase is going down in that bottom side of the map onto Can't Get Dopamine, and that means that these Rooks are going to lose another mid tower.
But that was 3 ultimates used on setup, and now Medicine comes in and trying to put down some damage. Tidal Wave comes through, isn't going to catch anyone, and the Vets are now going to be able to disengage.
A hook, though, leads to a stun onto Night Carry. Tibbers coming out. A stun in response onto a few members there of the Vets. Leads to one of their demise, but what a hook there onto Zach, who does what he can, but Red Hot is already on the inside of the base. Medicine trying to chase him down, just not quick enough. There is a lot of speed, a lot of mobility on the side of the veterans right now. A good lockdown from Dean is going to lead Medicine to try to hunt him down. There it goes, the Zonias. And that is not going to save him. Setup taking quite a bit of damage, but dealing quite a bit to Red Hots. There is another Zonia's popping in the mid lane. Red Hots manages to pick up the elimination, and will Medicine get the one? No! Double kill going over to Red Hots, really proving his prowess with those assassins.
And this entire time, there's just been this struggle between the 2 junglers up in the top lane. Thygao Lem does have the advantage in this matchup if he is able to close in and has had the pressure, but as a result of him not being in that team fight, the most fed member not able to contribute to the damage of his team. The Conqueror actually from that Diana was what allowed Red Hot to survive for so long, and now he's caught out by 3 members plus the Tibbers, gonna get shut down by that Annie, gonna hand over that gold, and doesn't even pick up the inhibitor.
The initial push, I think, was good.
Yes.
When he got to the inhib, did a couple hits, realized, hey, it's probably going to take another 5+ seconds of autoing this to actually eliminate it. The rest of the team likely said, hey, we've got recalls going through, we've got respawns coming through on that side. So a little too aggressive there coming from the Olaf, and that is, if I'm not mistaken, going to lead to a shutdown as well, and likely a pretty solid bounty from that elimination, going over to the veterans, who are going to be able to respond by picking up an Infernal of their own.
And that's what happens when you lose your jungler like that, especially on such a long death timer, because we are now 24 minutes into this game. So those death timers are really starting to extend, and that means that you can't have your jungler there to smite things away.
We're going to take another quick look. We didn't really witness the top lane here. Woojin having to flash out the follow-up flash coming in from that Olaf.
It sounds like we've got some yakety sacks going on here. Just from the way that these players have been dodging each other. Great engage there from Night Carry during this fight. And the way that Red Hots goes in, he does manage to get multiple members. Great play here around the Dragon by the Rooks to set things up for their team. We also have stuff happening in the bottom corner of our screen. Looks like they're going to escape there.
We got the Olaf, the Olaf Yaki Sacks is what it is, I'm assuming, because of all of the chases we've been seeing coming from this Olaf, and here is yet another one as Dean gets hunted down by the Axeman.
And oh my goodness, just the way that Dean has been escaping from these games. We saw an elimination in the corner of our screen there as the vets are starting to push in. But the way that Dean was able to survive for such a long time, evading 3 members of the Rooks, was just crazy. And now here he gets out.
And then you say, oh my god, they hate Dean. Yeah, I wonder why, once again. As we can see Woojin going in real fast, that Righteous Glory has been burned. Unstoppability is going to help that Olaf survive a little bit longer in terms of the anti-stun, but Dean going to pick up an elimination there and a double kill with his ult, but that's going to feed a lot of gold over to his team and a few more eliminations. Can't Get Dopamine ends up going down, but Night Fury has to abandon his base here as he is being hunted by Dean. Dean flashing an emote, knowing he's likely still very, very close, and that means a teleport is going to send Night Fury back into the base, and this is the final stand here for the Rooks, who played so well. They are not going to be able to hold this one off the veterans, really pushing that assassin ability over and taking game number 1.
Great play by both teams, but ultimately the vets are victorious. Playing that Annie team, doing a great job overall. Very, very measured aggression, and it just goes to show that sometimes it doesn't matter what your champion matchups are. Sometimes you just play the map better, and you win. It's all about that macro game and the ability to control that. And the vets had very smart shot calling as to where they ended up.
I think actually the big, not any sort of disparity, if you will, because the Rooks played incredibly well.
Right.
When the Rooks had a successful play, though, the vets managed to do something with it. And on the other side, when the Rooks ended up losing a fight, there wasn't much they could collect in response to that. And so the vets just had a lot more quick responses to failed fights. The Rooks, however, that first half of the game, I thought they were going to take it home. They did very, very well. They focused out. They got first dragon. They got first tower. They ended up starting the disparity for the gold differential there. But I guess, there's a reason the vets are called the vets, I suppose.
How do you guys think that the Annie and Garen necessity players played into the match?
That I don't want to say that had anything to do with any sort of sway. The top lane was very difficult there for the Rooks, being on the Garen side.
Definitely.
And that was the first selection, was the Garen. They wanted that over the Annie. They likely weren't expecting the Annie to go into the Garen, though. So depending on how we do things here, if the Rooks decide to take the blue side, they may end up going with that Annie because it did sway that lane.
The one thing I have any criticism for the Garen, I think that they needed more magic resistance earlier on. Something like Spectre's Cowl into a Spirit Visage, especially that Spectre's Cowl, because you can stack it with the Doran Shield, you get additional healing back when you poke. It gives you a much more sustainable lane, especially if you know you're going to be poked out by an AP-heavy champion.
And he was very aggressive, which is what you got to do. You have to kind of, you've got to poke where you can and force them out. But it doesn't look like we're actually going to follow that one up. That was it. The Vets taking down the Rooks. We are, however, going to have a play of the game. We do like to give credit where credit is due for these players. And I'm hoping this one won't have, won't have the saxophone back there. As much as we love those, we hate to see Dean escape as much as he does.
And we're going to go into the play of the game in now.
I have it! They did it! Dean play start. No, they stopped this. Oh, no, they didn't. I just can't hear it in here. Of course, it is a Dean play here. We're going to take another look. And this actually might be the exact same one that we saw earlier of the Olaf chase down, getting so close to eliminating Dean. And a good job by the rookies here of dodging all of the stuns and the lockdowns, but Dean just surviving for pretty much everything.
Sometimes when you have champions that have these tools for mobility and for stealth, it's so hard to pin them down, and Dean is proving just how difficult it is to pin down a Pyke.
Yeah, he likes the Pyke. We like that he likes the Pyke.
We like Pyke.
All right, so thank you everybody for joining us. We'll be back at a little bit before 4 o'clock to play Colorado and League. And until then, don't go away, and we'll see you later.
I drew the outline on the paper. Now I'm running out of space. Family at the dinner table, but I don't have a place. Where will we go? Why am I afraid to be alone? Sinking in petals, looking for the bottom. Where will we go? Cried on the phone again, I'm sorry. You don't need to think about me breaking down. Looking for guidance, but there's no advice to give, 'cause I'm the only one who can figure it out. Where will we go? Oh, why am I afraid to be alone? Sinking in petals, looking for the bottom. Where will we go?